Why, hello there, wargaming enthusiasts! Welcome back to Combat Mission Red Thunder. It's been a while, huh? Um, the thing is, we've actually played another battle, Mirek and I decided to do a little bit of a changeover, and instead of taking a sort of mixed force of tanks and infantry, I picked an entirely infantry-based force. So the entire game consisted of me just clicking things, and after a while I gave up entirely trying to record anything because it just took such a long goddamn time. So that battle's lost because I didn't feel like recording. Maybe I'll revisit it and try and record like a best of sort of highlights reel. But whether that will happen just kind of depends on what mood I am in and exactly how much time I've got, because just loading the games and replaying them minute by minute is a bit of a pain in combat mission. So whether or not that might happen, we don't know. Um, Nevertheless, here's another battle we're playing, and this time I've picked a slightly better force, so I hopefully won't get frustrated in the middle. So the first thing you notice is it's dusk. So finally, the random generator of weather and time has thrown us something different than middle of the day. The conditions are hazy, cool, and with medium wind. So much more difficult conditions to wage war in, definitely. And the map I've chosen, and this time it's me actively choosing, is slightly different than what we tend to play. It's a sort of long distance map with large open stretches of land and clumps of forest here and there, with just a couple of houses to be fought over, but it's not like we're going to be going through a village again. So there's a road in the middle, a railway that's going across a bridge, which is in the smack in the center of the map. Yes, the Rescue Rangers bridge right there, and there's a big river in front of right in front of us, to the left of us, and to the right of us, and there are about 4 points where you can cross that river, so that limits the avenues of engagement. Not all of these places are particularly good to get through. This deep ford here, it might be good, but it's probably not good for tanks. Infantry might get through here. The railroad bridge, the Rescue Rangers bridge, yeah, that's totally what it means. That's pretty much in the open. So's the destroyed bridge. That's probably not going to be a very good ford. And the other ford is also a little bit exposed. So it's going to be kind of a pickle trying to get across. The ground's dry, but even if the ground's dry, I imagine you're still going to get bogged down in the river anyway if you're trying to cross. So crossing with tanks is going to be a bit of a difficulty, especially with the enemy probably standing right here in those forests, having a go at us with their machine guns and their tiger tanks and whatever else they've got. So instead, I'm trying for a slightly different battle, and we'll see how that turns out. But I guess that's in a bit. So what we've got to find over here is a bridge a village right here, consisting of a couple of houses. These can be used to house infantry, and they shouldn't get too much of a hard time over the course of the battle. There's a couple of houses here, but it's not like they're key strategic positions, really. They overlook a couple of fords, but they don't really have any. Well, they have some, but not very many good windows, so they can't be used for spotting that much. Well, this one could be, but this one's very exposed, so it's not like we're going to be fighting from house to house, and there's definitely a huge stretch of land between these houses anyway. So I think the red spot is where we are deploying. So we're going to have the smaller of the villages and the east road to our disposal. Oh, there's a couple of houses here as well. Very nice. And we're going to get these woods over here. so we can deploy in them, although it's kind of an obvious spot to deploy in, so we might not. There's a couple of clumps of trees here and there, but largely the terrain is open. So I think our game plan will be to put down smoke early in the game, move into position, and I hope we are the first who spot the enemy. Once we've got a sufficient amount of the enemy out of the way, we can try crossing a ford here or there. So that's the battle plan, and since it's dusk, I imagine it's going to be, or at least I hope so. I hope it's going to be darker and darker as the minutes go by. So at the end of the battle, we might be just full on fighting at night, which is great because I'll be using Soviet infantry with, well, submachine guns, at least partially with submachine guns. Yeah, so about that, let's actually check out my forces. So what we've got here is a assault gun regiment with the Su-85 medium assault guns, and we have a whole company of them, two full platoons, the company HQ and a regimental HQ, so a total strength of 6 assault guns. These are late Su-85, so we should be getting some APCR ammo on them. So hopefully we will be able to tackle some of the heavier equipment as well as some of the medium equipment. However, if there are any heavy tanks, if there are tigers, we might want to stack odds in our favor, let's say, before engaging, which is always true with a tiger, I guess. So that's it. That's our 6th company of assault guns there. Another thing we're taking as a sort of base thing is a company of rifles with 3 platoons, 3 entire full platoons, 4 squads each, with a sniper team each. These guys will have about 4 SMGs and a couple of rifles in them. The snipers, we might actually use the snipers to actually fire at the enemy rather than just having them stay back or use them as scouts like we usually tend to do. Yeah, we have some headquarters team here and there, which we can use as spotters, and we will need spotters because we're taking a lot of ordnance, let's say. We've got a mortar platoon, 3 onboard mortars, on-map mortars, that we're going to use for smoke and for just general cover. I've discovered that you can use these mortars with direct fire as well, which is great. You don't have to range them in, although, of course, they do need to see the targets. But that makes them a little bit more flexible than off-map mortars, actually, if a little bit more vulnerable to enemy attack. Sorry, speaking with my mouth is very hard. So we've got that as support, and we've got 2 strafing IL-2s, so they'll be flying around and just buggering the enemy with their machine guns and their cannons, their, what is that, 37mm cannons. As well as the enemy, I imagine they'll be trying to fire at our own units, so that's going to be interesting as usual. And last game I actually didn't take them. The game you didn't see, I didn't take them, and I was kind of bored throughout. I like the random element of the IL-2 strike elements, just going rampaging wherever they bloody want, and I will have 2 of them because I couldn't afford a light one with bombs, so just 2 strafing ones instead. And we've got 2 infantry gun platoons with 2 guns each. I was considering buying a 4-gun platoon or 2 separate 2-gun platoons, and I decided for the separate ones because I'm pretty sure we can just use them together as one unit, as one barrage. But we can also use them separately, and they don't need the forward observer as far as I can tell. So we can use our HQs everywhere, well, not the tank ones, but the infantry HQs, stuff like that, to just call down artillery. And we're going to additionally use target reference points. We're going to have 5 target reference points, which we're going to spread throughout the map, and we're going to use that, well, to basically impede the progress of the enemy. We're going to use harassing fire on them. We're going to call down rapid artillery strikes if we need to. And That should give us the opportunity to be more flexible with our artillery than we used to be thus far. The battle is a meeting engagement, but it's going to be a very static one, I imagine. Um, so I think this infantry thing might pay off. They're also, well, they also have quite a lot of smoke ammunition, as well as the mortars. They have some smoke ammunition as well, so we can use that to, first of all, to provide ourselves with some initial smoke screen to get into position, and then we can place more smoke when we need to move up. I've learned some lessons in the last game, and that's not to try and move up large amounts of infantry using no smoke cover and no tank support. It ends in a sort of Hollywood ending with large amounts of Soviet infantry just dying right there and then. Yeah, so that's my force. We're basically, it's not anything special. There's a lot of infantry and a lot of assault guns. We are going to use them very carefully, or I hope I'm going to use them very carefully after an initial setting up period. We're not going to move them until we have some cover. We are going to try and get into cover first. If we fail to get into cover first, we're not going to risk any sort of moving out, stuff like that. We're going to do very slow, very gradual movement with our infantry and try to spot the enemy. We're going to try to secure all the forwards and prevent the enemy from moving up. And the only danger here with this battle is that if my opponent is thinking the same, because I'm basically thinking defensively here, and if the opponent is thinking defensively as well, we might end in a sort of stalemate where two sides are sort of hiding behind woods, behind forest, behind trees, whatever, on both sides of the river, and no one's going to do anything for a huge stretch of time. And when anyone does do something, it's going to end in a massacre. So yeah, that might happen, but hopefully it won't. And if it will, you might not hear this intro. Because I might get frustrated as well and pull this recording out too. Anyway, I think that's it from me. I hope this battle will be interesting. I'm certainly looking forward to it, and I hope I didn't do any snafus with choosing units this time, now that I think about it, like my 85mm non-movable gun incident in the second game we played. Anyways, like I said, I'm off. See you guys later.